Hey y'all, time for another lore compilation. These past couple weeks have been crazy, lots of people watching my stuff. The writer for one of my favorite non-Sonic comics commented on one of my videos. I'm almost at 25k, and Sonic Unleashed got a fan-made PC port out of nowhere. It just feels like I can't even guess what's gonna happen next because so much stuff is changing so fast, but it kinda motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing and what I'm passionate about. Like always, I really want to thank all of you. Even when a video underperforms compared to other stuff I've posted, I'm always kinda blown away that people are watching it at all, and I'm always really motivated to keep getting stuff out for y'all. Again, thank y'all so much. This video will be a compilation of all my shorts from October of 2024. Now, 2 of these did get restrictions put on them that YouTube refused to lift even after I appealed, so we're gonna say some low-tier curse words real quick. Damn, hell, ass. We should be good. On with the video. Void is a character who makes his sole game appearance in Sonic Shuffle, and is the antagonist of that game. He is one half of the ruler of the dream realm of Imaginary World, and is the personification of the negative feelings that allow dreams to happen. Despite only having 1 game appearance, he has a small amount of appearances in the comics. The first would be in issue 92, adapting the opening moments of Sonic Shuffle, and according to the Complete Sonic Encyclopedia, the events of this game do happen in their entirety pre-reboot. Just off-panel. Despite this, Void, or at least a version of him, makes one more appearance in issue 29 of Sonic Universe, as an inmate of the Zone Jail, having lunch with Mephiles the Dark. Fix-It is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. Much like Emerald, he is an ancient Gizoid, though instead of being equipped for combat, he is seemingly specialized in making repairs, much to the annoyance of Omega. At some point in the past, he had been discovered on Angel Island by Relic the Pika and became her loyal assistant. Unfortunately, despite featuring prominently in a few arcs of Sonic Universe, his history isn't really explored, though I would love to see him interact with Omega some more. Sonic's birthdays seem to go pretty poorly in the Archie comics. In issue 11, he eats too many chili dogs before bed, giving him a food-related nightmare. His 16th birthday is preceded by meteorites raining down on what he thinks is his surprise party, and is a bit overshadowed by Sally's long-lost brother finally returning home. Issue 160 sees his party get interrupted by both Bean the Dynamite and Bark the Polar Bear, as well as eventually Croctobot and Scourge. Despite everyone else's disappointment, he seems to take it in stride. In the story Hedgehog Day, they attempt to throw another party for him, only for Sonic to injure himself on the way to the party, and having to continually relive the same day until he finds a way to make it to the event unscathed. And finally, issue 230 adapts the opening moments of Sonic Generations, which goes exactly the way the game did. This is when Sonic and Eggman swapped bodies. In issue 37 of the Archie Sonic X comics, after foiling Eggman's plan to swap bodies with the President, Sonic and the Doctor ended up switching bodies instead. Sonic is left distressed by the situation, while Eggman makes the most of it. He also makes this face. However, when the President gets kidnapped by someone else, Eggman is forced to play the hero in Sonic's body, but quickly discovers he has trouble controlling Sonic's speed. Sonic then uses the opportunity to attempt to switch bodies back, though he has just as much trouble flying the Eggmobile. The two eventually manage to switch, coincidentally rescuing the President in the process, though Eggman's minions are still convinced that he's Sonic. Funnily enough, Sonic Boom would do an episode with a very similar premise less than 10 years later. This is Robotnik's demise. In the final issue of Archie's Operation Endgame arc, Robotnik plans to unleash a device known as the Ultimate Annihilator upon Knothole Village, which he succeeds in, seemingly wiping out everyone there. Sonic, enraged, confronts Robotnik, while Antoine and Bunny sabotage the Annihilator, causing it to begin backfiring. While they escape, Sonic and Robotnik continue fighting and are caught in the explosion, at first appearing to wipe both of them out. However, Sonic somehow survives the ordeal, and after passing out, he awakens back in Knothole Village, finding that everyone is safe. It had turned out that Snively had reprogrammed the Annihilator to only affect his uncle, and with one major exception, this would be the last time that this version of the Doctor would menace Sonic. The Conductor and his wife from the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog have, so far, made a few appearances in the IDW comics. The two make their first appearance in Sonic the Hedgehog Winter Jam, appearing on one of the many reality TV shows being watched by Eggman. But most recently, the Conductor's wife appeared in issue 71, the same issue that would reveal their daughter Ivy, who has become a big fan of Surge after watching her fight off the Phantom Rider. I really like this bit, it's very cute. While not technically technically part of the comics, the two also appear in the 2023 Sonic Christmas art piece, alongside IDW characters like Tangle, Jewel, Surge, and Kit. Hopefully we'll see more of the Conductor and his family in the future. In issue 22 of the Archie Sonic X comics, Eggman builds some new minions for himself. After one failure too many, Eggman fires Deco and Boko, forcing them to get jobs at an ice cream parlor while he builds new replacements, Ducow and Bucow. These new bots are incredibly formidable, with Sonic even commenting that they are the toughest robots the Doctor had ever built. Unfortunately for Eggman, his new minions run the calculations on his likelihood of success, and determine that the chances of conquering the planet go up if Eggman is not the one in charge, leading to him being thrown in a cage. Bokoon tells Sonic as well as Deco and Boko about what happened, leading the three to come to his rescue. Once Eggman is freed from his cell, he uses a remote to destroy the traitorous robots, commenting that he'd never make robots that are smarter than him. Omochao makes a few appearances in the comics. In issue 173 of the Archie Sonic comics, a Chao follows Sonic home, resulting in Sonic's father adopting the creature, and from the amount of time the two end up spending together, the Chao evolves into an Omochao, and subsequently becomes a member of Sonic's family. Post-reboot, Omochao acts as a piece of technology deployed by the Freedom Fighters. They appear throughout the reboot, though their cameos become increasingly difficult to spot. In IDW, they not only feature in the Team Sonic Racing one-shot, they also feature prominently in the Chao Racing arc as the host of said event. While that's been their most recent appearance, they could definitely still show up in the future. Harvey Who is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. First appearing as a sight gag all the way back in issue 16, at some point in the past he was director of the Kingdom of Acorn's Secret Service as well as an advisor to King Max, but retired when Jeffrey St. John was put in charge of things. He then would return over 200 issues later, tasked by Elias Acorn to recruit a team of secret freedom fighters to combat Naugus, with the first recruited being Silver. He would continuously work in the shadows, both recruiting new members to the team and providing them their mission objectives. He would also be the one to discover who the traitor Silver was trying to track down was. Unfortunately, the comic would reboot a short time after his return, and he was one of many characters that Penders claimed ownership of, meaning our chances of seeing him again are fairly unlikely. Shadow has a Chao. In the Chao Racing arc of IDW Sonic, we're introduced to a Dark Run Chao who is both the most successful and most competitive racer on the circuit. Shadow would be the one to discover that this Chao and all the others were kept in horrid conditions, and would play a part in freeing them. At the end of the arc, once all the Chao had been freed, Shadow can be spotted feeding this Dark Chao. Shadow has actually been depicted alongside this Chao through Sonic Channel artwork as early as 2013, and has even been referenced in the Sonic Twitter takeover.
Nothing compares to the dark Chao I've been raising.
This Chao will seemingly be getting a new appearance in the animated short series Chao Tales, and just announced today, next week, a new manga will be dropping titled Sonic X Shadow Generations X Chao.
I plan on protecting that Chao with my life.
So why is Knuckles green? Thanks to his father microwaving him, Knuckles gains access to a form known as Chaos Knuckles, which essentially turned him into a living Chaos Emerald with nigh limitless powers. He taps into the form for the first time when both detaining and rescuing Antoine's roboticized father from being taken apart. This form proved to be too much for him at first, nearly driving him crazy, though he eventually does obtain a stronger control over his newfound powers. This form's downfall would come when he faced off with Mammoth Mogul. In order to prevent Dimitri from perishing at Mogul's hands, Knuckles ended up sacrificing his life. While he did pass on, still green, when he returned to life in an attempt to save Mobius, he ended up losing his ability to tap into this form. While we would see sort of glimpses of this form later, Knuckles would never properly reattain it. Black Death is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. The secondary hive mind of the Black Arms, he would survive the events of Shadow the Hedgehog as he and his own battalion of soldiers did not participate in the invasion. Black Death would subsequently create Eclipse the Darkling and would lead another attack on the planet only to be confronted by GUN and Team Dark. For a time, he would be able to take over Shadow's mind and force him into service for the Black Arms. Thankfully, Omega and Rouge would be able to break Shadow of the mind control, allowing the Hedgehog to confront the Black Arm's new leader. Black Death would end up sacrificing his own life to ensure the survival of Eclipse and the newly created Dark Arms, his last act before Shadow destroyed him. Knuckles actually meets Chip before Sonic does in the Archie comics. When the Shattered World crisis begins, Knuckles is informed by Tikal that a powerful spirit is meant to help in this situation, causing Knuckles to begin looking for it. Knuckles, joined by the Chaotix, end up finding Chip and a Chaos Emerald in the aquatic mine. Just like the game, Chip's memories are a little fuzzy, but Knuckles is able to convince him that he'll be able to take him someplace safe, with Charmy being the one to give Chip his nickname. After a little trouble escaping the mines thanks to both the Hooligans and Dark Gaia creatures, Knuckles is able to get Chip and the Emerald back to Angel Island, where Tikal is able to tell Chip a little about his identity and mission, though his amnesia remains. Sonic would officially meet Chip for the first time at the tail end of issue 271. In the 11th issue of the UK's Sega magazine, we are introduced to Rankles the Otter. Stated to be Knuckles' spiky-ankled sidekick, the magazine offers £1 million to the first person who's able to send in a photo of the hidden character. The same page does also state that this is a joke, though I do wonder how many people still fell for this, being that the original Knuckles art they altered appears just a few pages earlier. I do think it's funny he appears in a UK Sega magazine, cause I could totally see him fitting in with Fleetway Sonic's cast. Warden Zobotnik is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. Hailing from the same reality as Sonic the Zone Cop, he, joined by his assistant Zanivli, is the warden of the interdimensional zone jail. During Scourge's time in the prison, the warden takes a special interest in him, believing he can break the Green Hedgehog's spirit and reform him. Unfortunately, this causes him to totally underestimate Scourge, leading the prison guards being totally unprepared for Scourge's prison break. Despite Zobotnik's best attempts to reapprehend the Hedgehog, he escapes, and Sonic makes it clear that, with how things are currently going, no one is going to go after him. Metal Knuckles has made a few appearances in the comics. In Sonic the Comic, he's teased all the way back in issue 72 before getting his first proper appearance in issue 108. Technically, this is the Knuckles Metallics, but it's clearly based on Metal Knuckles. Shortly after, he would face Sonic in trial combat, but with Tails' assistance, the robot is cut in two. The robot would make a few small appearances after that, but would never be the story's main focus again. In Archie Sonic, the Robotnik creation menaces the Echidna city of Albion, and even manages to knock Sonic unconscious. While Amy began fighting the robot, a blast of electricity managed to knock out everyone, including Metal Knuckles. Metal Knuckles would subsequently be taken over by the robotic plant creature, the Krudzu. And finally, in the IDW Classic Sonic comics, Metal Knuckles would begin collecting the Chaos Emeralds for the Heavy King before Eggman managed to regain control of the robot. The Dark Freedom Fighters are a team who appear in the Archie Sonic comics. Appearing in the alternate bad future of Dark Mobius, they are the last remaining resistance against Enerjack. When Silver meets the team, they are led by Johnny Ka, an alternate version of Knuckles and Julie Sue's daughter. The other members of the team include Dagger Walrus, a version of Rotor, Payback Fox, a version of Fiona, Blockbuster Polar Bear, a partially roboticized version of Bark the Polar Bear, who also talks, which is an interesting departure from his main universe version. The team also features Cutlass Depardieu, a version of Antoine, as well as a non-roboticized version of Bunny named Scarlet Rabot, and an uncharacteristically serious version of Bean the Dynamite named Demo Duck. While the team as a whole puts up a good fight, they're no match for a direct confrontation with Enerjack. Blade the Shark is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. The older sister of Razor, the two were recruited into Captain Shellbreaker's crew after they were caught attempting to steal from them. While the majority of the crew left to join the Eggman Empire, and her brother was left for dead after refusing to steal a shipment of medicine, she decided to stick with the crew. Upon reuniting, while she says she is happy to see her brother again, they quickly begin getting into very heated arguments, as she believes that the only way to survive in the world is to take from others the same way they'd been taken from. Once Razor and the Chaotix manage to steal the pirate ship, she does reveal that she did really want to forgive Razor for going against the crew, and wished that things could go back to the way they were. In the opening moments of the Sonic Universe arc, Mobius 30 Years Later, we are given a recap of this timeline's events through a newscaster named Sasha Cat. You might think this is a character created just for this moment, but in fact she existed before. In the modern day of pre-reboot Archie Sonic, Sasha Cat is one of 3 orphans being raised by Rosie Woodchuck. the same individual who helped raise Sonic and the Freedom Fighters. While she and her fellow orphans are relatively minor characters, they do have a small but notable role in the Iron Dominion arc, first being very angry at Monkey Khan for his earlier behavior, pelting him with rocks, but would later act as his motivation to jump into action. While her design is super inconsistent between timelines, it has been confirmed this is meant to be the same character. In issue 30 of the Archie Sonic X comics, Eggman takes over a circus. After kidnapping Sonic and his friends, he forces Sonic to walk a dangerous tightrope, forces Knuckles to fight a troop of robot clowns, chases Amy with a herd of mechanical elephants, and locks Tails and Cream in a cage with a bunch of robot animals. Fortunately, Eggman's own minions end up giving Sonic the opening to escape and rescue his friends, though he does use the opportunity to hit Knuckles with a pie. As punishment for his misdeeds, Knuckles loads the Doctor and his minions into a cannon, which Cream then fires. The Felidae are a group that appear in the Archie Sonic comics. Making their first appearance during the Sonic Adventure arc, this tribe of Catmobians were an ancient enemy of the Knuckles clan, with their subsequent war being what pushed Pachacamac to attempt to obtain the emeralds for himself to gain the edge in the battles, which of course would bring about chaos. When Angel Island fell from the sky, they would attempt to invade the island to start fighting again, though Knuckles' father is able to prevent the conflict outside of a single fight. We see the Felidae again a little over 100 issues later, now locked into conflict with the Wolfpack, which I've covered before. In issue 263 of the Archie Sonic comics, Chaos saves Sonic. While defending the underwater city of Meropis from Dark Gaia creatures, Sonic loses the charm that allows him to temporarily breathe underwater and begins drowning. Thankfully, right before Sonic meets his fate, Tikal answers the prayers of Coral the Beta, which also summons Chaos to the fight, both providing Sonic and Rotor air bubbles and evening the odds against the Dark Gaia creatures. Captain Stryker of the Meropis City Guard is completely dumbfounded by the fact that Sonic casually knows Chaos, to which Sonic replies, "Oh sure, I helped him with a thing once." Razorklaw the Cat is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. Once a member of the Felidae, he was exiled after being defeated by Knuckles' father in combat, leading to him joining with Eggman and undergoing the process of cyberization. He has a tumultuous team-up with fellow cyberized Eggman soldier Drago Wolf, with the two stealing the sacred ancient onyx from the Wolfpack and the Felidae. After being defeated, both of them would remain stationed in the continent of Sumerca, continually overseeing the Dark Egg Legion stationed there, and coming into consistent conflict with both the Wolfpack and the Felidae. Hershey the Cat is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. First appearing in the Operation Endgame arc, she was in a toxic relationship with Drago Wolf, with him manipulating her into unknowingly taking part in a plan to assassinate Sally Acorn. After she leaves him, she is eventually recruited into Jeffrey St. John's Secret Service, which would cause her and Jeffrey to enter a relationship, with them even getting married under tense circumstances upon Sonic's return to Earth. However, during a solo mission to the continent of Sumerca, she would go missing with only her suit being able to be recovered, leading Jeffrey to believe she had died, causing his more villainous turn in the comic. Turns out though, she was actually alive, undercover in the Dark Egg Legion, though the comic would reboot before anything could be done with this. There were seemingly more plans for her, with Aaliyah Baker even stating a design for a secret Freedom Fighters outfit for her had been worked on. In Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic is arrested by the GUN team known as Sigma Alpha 2. In the Archie Sonic comics, we actually get to see this team. Led by their commander, Hugo Brass, the team would first appear in issue 98, showing the events that preceded Adventure 2. Later, they would be called upon for assistance when a dragon was attacking Station Square, and would also appear during the Zorda's attack on Earth. They would be absent from the comic for quite some time, only for it to be revealed during the Sonic Universe arc Scrambled that the team had been captured, legionized, and forced into Eggman's service. Moss the Sloth is a character who appears in the Archie Sonic comics. A sage living in the jungles of Sumerca, he was the teacher of Mighty the Armadillo, helping him maintain his control and focus. Upon meeting Sonic, he would immediately recognize his lycanthropic affliction, and after Sonic went wild after transforming, would train the hedgehog in keeping control of the form. A little later, he, Mighty, and Ray would assist Knuckles and Amy in collecting a few shards of the Master Emerald that had been taken by Thunderbolt the Chinchilla. In the spirit of the holiday, let's go over the Halloween costumes Sonic's worn. Sonic's vampire outfit is probably the one with the longest history, first appearing in volume 131 of Sega's internal magazine Harmony. It would make a public appearance in Sonic Channel artwork in 2009, and would subsequently make other appearances like in Sonic's Speed Simulator. While Sonic wouldn't get to wear a costume in the pages of the IDW Halloween special, one of the variant covers would depict him in the vampire outfit. Does the werehog count? Probably not, but the costume of it he wears on a variant cover of IDW Sonic number 22 probably does. And probably most famously, Sonic did wear a jack-o'-lantern costume in Sonic Adventure 2. This probably doesn't count as a costume, but in 2021, Sega did post Halloween art featuring a reference to a certain unsettling screen in Sonic CD. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank all my patrons and give a special shout out to my $5 patrons, Ned Rex, Nate DM990, Diddly Do, and Queer Kaiju. See y'all in the next video.